All right, folks, I'm coming through and I'm unmuting everybody. This is Melissa over at Boomtown. Hope everybody's doing great today. If anybody needs to speak and is not able to get unmuted, oh wait, this one looks like it's self-muted, so that's okay. Just chat in the chat room and let me know, but everybody should be unmuted now. It looks like we have Chris Blade, Chris Bleck, Amanda, Aaron, and Maura on the line. Are we waiting for anybody else to join us?
Not that I'm aware of, but it could be someone else being late.
Okay, we can maybe give them another minute or so and just see if anybody else pops on.
Okay.
Hey guys, just wanted to check. It doesn't look like we have anybody else joining yet. Is it okay to forge ahead? And this is being recorded, so we can distribute this to anybody who wasn't able to make it today.
I think it's okay. Maura, do you have any objections? Let's see if she does.
Just want to make sure you guys can hear me and see what's going on before we dive in. Happy to wait a couple more minutes if you need.
Yeah, okay, so you can go ahead and start it. Maura said it's okay. I can't hear, but.
Great. Okay, awesome. Thank you for checking on that. And this is being recorded, so if anybody got caught up in anything, you'll be able to check it out later. But we wanted to walk you through Relay for your submission of issues. So we know you guys have been using a Gravity form beforehand. This is actually going to give you a lot more control and a lot more visibility by using the software that those Gravity forms actually feed into for Boomtown. So Relay is the software here that you're going to be using. When you first log in, you're going to be at the dashboard tab here. This is just a place where we're collecting data on everything we do for your company at all. So this can be a little bit interesting, but you're not really going to be spending a lot of your time here. Where you're going to be focusing your time is in issue submission. So Relay is capable of a lot, but for you guys, the only thing that's going to be relevant is here on this Issues tab, the Customers tab. Everything below Customers won't be relevant to you. And on the right-hand side, the Messaging panel is also going to be useful to your team. This is where you can communicate with folks from our side. So I'm going to first walk you through adding an issue. We would do that via the Issues tab on this left-hand side navigation bar by just hitting Issues and then Add. So we go to Issues and then Add. We have two types of issues that we're capable of submitting to Boomtown. The first is for an existing customer. So this is a customer that, sorry, go ahead.
Are you doing like a live screen session, or because right now it's just stagnant?
Not showing your screen? Oh, no, thank you for that. Let's see. Sorry about that.
It just says work order submission training.
Let's see if that works.
Okay, now we see you.
Awesome. Sorry about that. All right.
I think it's just the webcam.
Yeah, it must be the little goofy thing we're using. Oh, this is not what we want.
Yeah, you want to share your screen.
I think it's if you expand the bar there, it's the third option here.
There we go. All right. Sorry, guys. We're used to GoToMeeting, not GoToWebinar.
There you go.
Bear with me. All right. You can see my screen now?
Yes, you're good now.
All right. Fabulous. So I'm going to start at the top. Well, let's get this out of our way. So this is the dashboard. So this is what you're going to see when you first log in. Is this showing up for you now? You see some kind of charts and graphs going on?
Yeah, I can see it.
Wonderful. So this is where we're tracking the data. So this is a great place for you to pop in and take a look. But again, you're not going to be spending a lot of time here. Where you're really going to be spending your time is on this left-hand side navigation bar. You see we have issues and customers. So these are the two tabs that'll be relevant to your team. Everything below customers, technology, organizations, that's not going to be useful to you. So don't worry about anything below there. And then on the right-hand side, we have our messaging panel. This is where you're going to be communicating with our team. So these will be relevant. If we go to issues and then add, just under issues here, we have the option to add, go to the list, go to the Kanban, or go to the calendar. If we go to add, this is where we're going to submit an issue. So in the past, when you were submitting via the link that you had, this was feeding into Relay in the same way. But by submitting it here, you're actually going to have a lot more visibility and a lot more control with everything that you submit. So again, there are two different types of issues that you can submit. One is for an existing customer, and one is for a new customer. So this one that we're highlighting here, the one that we're looking at right now, this is for a customer that already exists in Relay. So maybe we already did work for this person in the past and we're doing some more work for them. This is not going to be most of the issues that you submit. The vast majority of issues you submit to Boomtown are going to be the new customer issue right here, this tab. And what this tab, this type of form is doing is it's allowing you to simultaneously add the customer into Relay while you submit a ticket or an issue for us to work on. So the first part of the form is just the customer's information. So let's just say this is a fake account that I like to use a lot, Melissa's Cafe. So I'm just going to enter in super basic info, first name, last name, industry. I'm going to say that it's a restaurant. You'll notice a lot of these fields do not have a little red asterisk, so they're not required. So you don't have to put the email, location, phone, website. None of that stuff is required. However, the email address, if you have it, can really come in handy. Just add a little fake one I like to add for these. Because sometimes if we are contacting them at, let's say, the business phone, the merchant or the owner is not always present there. And if we're trying to nail down a time with them, often their actual email address is a better way to get in touch. So not required, but very helpful if you do have it. We do need their address as well. Just going to throw in a generic address for us here. We'll say they're here in San Francisco with us. One thing to call out, just a little quirk in this one right here, we want to make sure that we select from the drop-down the actual state. In the event that Google Chrome ever tries to automatically fill out California, Relay might not read it. So if you're ever trying to submit something and you see that it's not letting you submit, it might just be that you didn't select the state from the drop-down. Just one little quirk to be aware of. Google Chrome can be a little aggressive in how it fills out this information. Now at the end of the customer form, so this is where we're filling in all the details and creating that customer account. There's one more key field here, the team associations. Now, the team associations gives us the ecosystem that this merchant lives in. So if they reach out to us, we immediately see their information on the screen and we know everyone who's associated with them. So the team associations in your case is going to be Toast, definitely Boomtown, and all these. Boomtown might not be an option in this one. That's okay. So Toast for sure.
And then also just, specific for how Toast organization, this is Alex Chase, by the way. I'm an account manager for Boomtown for Toast, and I work with Maura quite intimately. So we kind of worked on this, and it's really segmented into two different types of service requests. A lot of them will be the projects team, which is kind of everyone that's new, that's, part of this training for this week, these 3 different sessions, and we've worked heavily with the post-lab team with Maura and her folks. So most oftentimes, if you're on the project team, you're submitting a new implementation, a new service request to have one of our technicians as a support technician for the go live. You're going to be selecting the Toast project team. And post-live would only be in the case when Maura and her team would be submitting for, those existing customers where, they're adding in a station or an access point, or they need to run an additional cable or whatever the request may be.
So we've got Toast project team here. We're at the end of the customer form. So now we have a subheadline here, issue details. So this is where we're starting to get into the issue that we're actually submitting to Boomtown. So we're giving Boomtown the information that we need to get this completed for you. So the sponsor team just refers to who's submitting this job. So this is going to be the Toast project team. It tells us it's coming from you. The owner team is always going to be
left blank because it's going to go to Boomtown. Yep.
Yeah, it's going to go to Boomtown. So owner team just means whose queue is this going into? It's always going to go to Boomtown's queue. So you would either select Boomtown, we might need to add that, or leave that as it is. Issue type is not going to be support. So keep in mind, it might auto-populate with support. Support would be, merchant needs a call down because something hasn't worked. This is not a support issue. This is a work order issue. So you want to make sure you select work order for the issue type. And then under issue categories, this is going to be installation.
If you search Toast, we have the...
There we go.
Perfect.
So you can actually just search Toast.
Okay, I noticed that Toast support install. What is that? Is that like an actual, is that a post live, like all they're already live, or is that an actual install?
So that's, and if Maura's call, she can shed some light. But from what I believe, the support install is when there's an FIE on the location for the implementation. So our technician is a supporting hand, providing, when it's a larger customer and the footprint is larger and the scope of work is going to be a longer day. Full implementation is when our technician is going to be the only resource. So I think, I worked with Maura to set up this nomenclature, and if we need to change it around, we certainly can. So that's the beauty of Relay. We can kind of change all these different fields if we need to. But those are the two, I believe that's exactly what those are used for.
Okay, yeah. Maura is technically on here, but her mic's not working, and she's asking me to ask you. She just wants to make sure we're very basically detailed about the whole way support uses this.
Yep. So I think it depends on the submitter, and these are the categories that are actually on the Gravity form. So I think most oftentimes it is support and install, because a lot of times the FIEs are on there. Full implementation can be chosen. We can remove if it's confusing, but this is just the categories that we wanted that Maura and I kind of worked on. So I can get with her afterwards to make it super clear and provide an email to the folks on this training to what those are going to be used for. But effectively, what categories are, it's an ability to pull a report on the usage of Boomtown for Toast. So I can provide the data for 6 months of the type of requests that have been submitted. Are they support installs? Are they actually post-live installs? Are they post-live, live networking cable management stuff? And we can just pull that data from Relay. As previously, we couldn't really pull it from the work order submission form through the online, like the website, the Gravity form there.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Just like I said, definitely send those to her because she wants everything to be very detailed as possible.
Perfect. Yeah. I'll work with her, and these are very easy to change. So we can reflect the changes from today into the next training this week. So it's very, very straightforward there. But just to follow back on what Melissa stated, the work order is what's going to be significant here, because that's for all field services work. Just like your org, we have support tickets as well for like tier 1, tier 2 escalations, and that's our support team kind of working remotely. So we work very similar, and we'll turn like a support ticket into a dispatch. But for the purposes of how Toast contracts with Boomtown, all these issue types are going to be work order, and we'll follow up with some support documentation to really kind of hammer home and enforce the training there.
Great, yeah, that definitely works because there are certain levels of people who can do it in support, so we want to make sure they're not confused.
Yeah, and there's telltale signs when things are submitted like incorrectly. We catch it almost immediately. So, we fully expect a couple of errant submissions just as we're kind of changing the new process. But we'll surely it gets corrected over time and making sure that we reinforce some of those best practices.
Great, thank you. So that you can continue the presentation.
Great. So ordinarily, you're going to be selecting Toast full implementation here. So we have these other options, but more often than not, the first option, Toast full implementation, will be the correct one to select. So we've got work order, Toast full implementation. Now we're going to hit submit at the very bottom right-hand side of the page. So what this is doing is this is adding the customer to Relay. So now this customer exists in Relay. We know exactly who they are, and we have their information. And this is going to generate some additional fields for us. Or maybe it did not.
I think we missed the checklist part there.
Usually that is something that populates at the end. Sorry about that. Give me one moment, guys. So sorry, y'all. First time using the new checklist. Want to make sure we have everything exactly correct for you.
Go back up and see what the team associations are.
It might be because we were not able to select Boomtown as the owner team.
Yeah, that might be it. Yeah, have the team associations here. Click on product team too. It should still populate.
I'm surprised Boomtown is not an option. Yeah, so we're actually supposed to have a checklist that generates at the bottom here, and we're not seeing the checklist.
Just to speak over that, yeah, I think what has happened, we've changed kind of the permissions and the way that organizations interact with different teams. And perhaps on this demo account, I failed to add Boomtown as a collaborative team. So when the owner team is then added as Boomtown.
There's the issue form. Okay, so we got to fix that. Full disclosure for everybody, we have to come in and we need to make sure that the owner team is going to be Boomtown. Owner team means this is the team who's doing the work. So it's not actually going to be Toast in practice when you're doing it. You're going to select Boomtown. Toast is the sponsor team. But now that I selected a sponsor team, I can see the checklist or the issue form at the bottom here, which is what we wanted to show you guys. So the issue form here is one of the very key elements of submitting this work order. So what we had so far was basic customer information, address, phone number, stuff we need to get in touch with them. The next little kind of area of the form is our issue details. So this is giving us some very high-level information, but it's not giving us a lot to go and do this job on, right? We know it's submitted by your team, so that knows, or that tells us who we're going to maybe reach out to if we have some questions. We know it's ours to work on, and then we're going to come in here and we're going to go to the issue form, and we're going to select the Toast project team form. So the form here is what's really getting us the information that we need. This is the juicy details. So it's very imperative that whenever you're submitting a work order, we select an issue form. But like you just saw us struggle with, if you do not have the issue work order and you don't have the sponsor team and the owner team, you won't even have this issue form as a possibility that pops up.
Yeah, and yeah, just to just comment on that as well. Boomtown should be there as one of the team associations if you scroll up, Melissa. So we were looking for it. So there's Toast and Toast Project Team. There should be Boomtown, and that's just a back end fix that I'll add after our call today. But I think it just dropped from our new sprint release, which is unfortunate, and we all know that software kind of breaks down sometimes. So, but Boomtown should be there, and that will be the owner team. So it's always going to be project team, and then Boomtown as the owner team. Sponsor team being, who's submitting it. If it was Maura or Emily Thompson submitting, it would be Toast Post Live. If it's, a brand new customer for a project manager who's, doing the deployment, then it would be the project team. And then once those are selected, it does populate the issue form, which is the checklist. So Toast project team, which is effectively, once Melissa clicks into the next one, is effectively what the gravity form looks like, adding in the number of stations and the scope of work.
Yeah, so one of the things that we're going to do post-training, just so that you guys all have this on deck, I know this is a lot to remember, is we're going to send you documentation walking you through each of these fields so that you have something that you can pull up and just have on the other screen while you do this for the first few times to get the hang of it. And then after you've done it a few times, all of this is going to be pretty easy. Just a few important things to keep in mind along with the sponsor team, owner team, and the checklist here. So our issue form was our Toast project team. I'm going to submit customer and go to the next step. And now you can see, this is what we wanted to see before, we have some additional fields here. So the issue is not fully submitted. We've got some more that we need to give to Boomtown so that they can complete this job. So the Toast rep name, let's just say it's my name. Toast rep email, I'm just going to say melissa@gmail. We'll throw in phone number, preferred date of install. So you can just select it on the map here. Let's say we want it for next Wednesday in the PM hours. Some of this should look familiar to you guys from using the gravity form before. Technician name is totally optional. You can leave that field blank, but we do need to know how many terminals we're going to install. So let's say there are 3 this time with 3 Go devices, 2 printers, and 2 access points. So these are all very, very critical for us. We need to know all of that. And then in the scope of work and additional comments field, this is where you can just provide us with any additional context that you think is going to be helpful. So even if you just know that the merchant tends to only be available after 3 p.m., or if you know that the merchant is going to for sure need this between certain dates, or things like that, any kind of context at all that would be helpful to the folks who are going to be reaching out to this merchant and getting this work done, this is where you want to add that. The estimated time of work is the last item here on this checklist. So this is where you can just give us some kind of estimate as to what you think it's going to be. Doesn't have to be exactly correct, but any kind of ballpark figure is very helpful for us in our planning. Once we have all of that information in, we're going to hit submit at the bottom here, and then the issue will be submitted to Boomtown. Now, it's not going into a void the way it used to when you were using the checklist or the online forms. Now, when you submit a form to Boomtown, or a work order rather to Boomtown, you're going to be able to come into Relay and follow along with everything that's happening on that issue. And there are 2 places that you can check on the issue. Still under the issues category here, we go to list or Kanban, we'll be able to follow along with the issue. Now, the list is going to show us a list of every single issue that has ever been submitted to Boomtown on your org's behalf. So you could come in here and search for something, 6 months old or a year old and go into the issue and maybe see the notes. So we have this Melissa's Cafe fake one that I added in here. We can see if I want to go into it, I'm just going to click on the little pencil. This is going to pop open the window with the issue's information. I can see the owner team. That means that's the person who's actually working on it. I can see any notes here. Special notes are at the top of the page. Scope of work and details for the tech are going to be here. Tech support minutes are here. So all of the main details are going to be over here. I also am able to communicate with folks from Boomtown within the issue window. So I don't need to pick up a phone to call anybody. I can actually see that, so-and-so, let's say myself, is working on this issue. So just like other social media you've used in the past, you can @mention someone. So I can come in here and @mention myself. And then, hey, I see you've been reaching out to the merchant on their business phone and they haven't been answering. Here's their cell phone. Whatever it is that I want to add, I can do it right here within the issue, and they'll be able to respond to me within the issue as well. Now, if I want to see all the minutia that's gone on with this issue, I won't want to do it from the main page. The main page of the issue here, so you've got the little home icon here. This is telling us the most important information. We really want to keep things as clear and concise on this main page as possible. But if you want to see all the little details, we do track everything, of course, and you can see that right here in the issue log. So it's this little icon that looks like a clock with an arrow around it. I can come into the log and actually see every single thing that's happened on this issue from the time it was submitted to Boomtown until they, maybe called the merchant a few times, somebody owned it, somebody got in touch with the merchant said to call back after 5. All of these kinds of things will be here in the issue log. So you can come through and just see in chronological order from the time the issue was created until it's been completed or resolved, every single thing that Boomtown has done on it.
Yeah, and this is going to be a useful place, and we can go into an actual live ticket that Melanie, and I know that a number of you folks have worked with Melanie Garcia, who is our implementation manager for Toast. You'll be able to see all her log notes that she's captured with the technician, what the scope of work was. It's all going to be housed in the issue log from, like Melissa stated, from submission to scheduling the technician to, what the technician had done on site. And it provides all the timestamps and the work completed. So, this is just a good way to, when you're curious about those, you don't have to ping, Melanie, although she's very quick to respond. You're able to kind of find a host of your issues for different customers here in Relay.
Yeah, everything is available for you to access 24/7 whenever you need it. Now, a lot of these other items on this tab here are not going to be useful to you, so just be aware we've got Subtasks Files. This is where Files here is where we might upload like an image. So if someone took some photos of the install work that they did while they were on site, that's going to be attached to the issue here in the files. We've also got forms, billing, network and site health. Most of this is not going to be relevant to you, but files on the occasion that something was uploaded like an image will be relevant, issue log will be relevant, and then the main page of the issue will be relevant to your team.
Quick question there. With the files and the network option there, so if, for instance, we want a Wi-Fi survey on site, would you put it in files or that network one?
No, the only thing that's going to be added into files is going to be like something that we've received from your team or something that we received from the tech that we want filed here. So this is not a place for you to submit information to Boomtown. This is a place for Boomtown to track and keep record of everything that's been done for this order.
No, that's my point. I'm saying if we ask for a basically an on-site survey from Boomtown and they have files upload like pictures of the network or like a heat map, would they put it in files or under the network section?
Oh, good question. Sorry, I misunderstood. That would be in files. So any images or uploads at all will be here in files. Network and site health is actually only going to be for a different service that we provide. So this one won't be relevant to you guys. This is something called Sense that could be useful to you guys later on in the future. But right now, that's something that will never have any real information for you because you're not using Sense with Boomtown.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course. Definitely makes it easier to pull up those files from something that was 6 months or a year old as well, just to have it associated with the issue here. You can always just search the merchant's name, find any issues related to them, and just pull that right up. So I'm going to close out of this issue window, and I want to show you another place that you can track the issues, because the list is a great place to, maybe go back and dig for information that's a little bit older. But the Kanban is the best place to watch issues as they're moving through Boomtown's processes, so you can see where exactly they are. So anything that's hanging out in this far left, this is remote. So if it's here in remote, this furthest left swim lane, that means that somebody has owned it. So someone has picked it up and maybe they've called down to the merchant to try to schedule something, but they haven't gotten through. So if it has been picked up, someone has started to work, it's here in remote. If it's in scheduling, this second swim lane, then that means it's actually on the calendar. So something is booked. We have a time down. We'll be working for the merchant at that designated time. If it's in progress, somebody is working with the merchant right now, so somebody's live on site. And if it's pending close, likely someone is no longer on site. Maybe we're uploading some images, uploading some notes associated with that issue. And then when we mark it as completed, we're going to see it move off of this screen. So this is a place to see everything from the time it gets picked up until the time that it gets put down.
Why don't you click into like the in progress one so they can kind of see
Let's take a look at Mesme.
Yeah, go ahead and click in there and you can kind of see some of how Melanie fills in the information for the technician and what it kind of looks like as things progress.
We can see that it's in progress here right at the top. I can see the owner user is also Melanie. So if I wanted to, I could come in here and at Melanie, give her some information. Oops, I should probably spell her name right to be able to pull her up. But there she is. So I can always communicate from right within the issue. And even within this chat, I can see all of these log notes. We can see when somebody else was communicated with. We can see the merchant was told, hey, this is a notification of your upcoming appointment. So everything is tracked here so that your team has total visibility into all the things we're doing for any of your merchants. We don't want anything to be in the dark at all. Any questions around submitting issues or following issues so far? Does that all sound like it makes sense?
Yeah, sounds good so far.
Wonderful. Now, we talked about going into issues, and adding a new customer. So that's going to be the case most of the time. But I do want to touch on adding something for an existing customer. So this is not going to be nearly as often, but if you have a customer that already exists in Relay who maybe needs some additional work done, let's just say it's Melissa's Cafe again. So I'm just searching it right here. And then, yep, there it is. And then that auto fills out the customer user, that's like the owner of the business, and the location, because there's only one. If there were multiple locations of this business, then I would come here and I would select amongst all of them. If I scroll down a little bit, I can select work order. It's going to be work order in this case. It's going to be for the Toast project team. But then we can see I don't have a checklist option unless I click on add form. So there's this little checkbox. I'm going to click that checkbox. And now you might have noticed I had a little bit more scrolling ability here because a new field just populated at the very bottom for me here, the issue form, the Toast project team. So this is always going to be correct. If I wanted to maybe submit an issue for Melissa's Cafe who already had some work done to have some additional work done, maybe they need another access point, then this would be how we want to do it. So they've already had Boomtown come out once. We started. Now they need something additional. So I'm going to come here to existing customer. Since they already exist in Relay, Boomtown knows these people. We just need a little bit more help for them. And then I'm just going to submit the issue here by clicking on add form so that I can select my checklist.
A good use case for this is for some of those Toast customers that aren't necessarily ready to go live. So, you've submitted the work order to Boomtown and they just needed to cancel for whatever reason. Melanie will cancel that work order and then we won't move forward with that work order. And then if that customer is ready in 6 months, you can just search for that customer because it's already in Relay, and you can search for that customer and submit the next work order for them to go live.
Now, one other area that I want to point out before we hop over to our messaging is just this Customers tab. So you're going to be spending the vast majority of your time under Issues, but if you go into Customers and then go to Profiles, you're going to be brought to the full list of all of your customers that have ever been added into Relay. So this should be everyone we've ever done work for. So you can search for the customer here in this top right-hand corner. You can even search for the customer from the main search bar of Relay and be able to pull them up. But if I wanted to get into one of these customers' accounts, let's just say I want to go into Surf Restaurant here. I'm just going to click on the little pencil next to their name. And then here I have this merchant's info. So I've got their basic stuff here. I can see how many issues are affiliated with this merchant's profile. So they've had 2 work orders ever that we've performed for them or that we've even started for them. I can see all of their locations. It looks like they just have 1 location. And then if I maybe want to get into the work orders that were associated with this one, I can just double click. So I'm just going to double click on that top issue. It's going to pop up with a new window for me here. And then, oh, look at this. It's an issue that we did back on February 17th of 2018. Looks like it was a cabling and configuration that went on. I've got all the details right here. So you can always search by the customer if you want to do a little bit of a deeper dive into one particular customer. And then if you have a customer that has multiple locations, so we can see with this one there is only 1 location, but maybe they opened another location across town and we're going to be doing some work for them. I can come here into the customer's profile and then go to the Locations tab. Kind of looks like the little like Google Maps pin drop right here. Here I have my existing location. I can just click Add and then add in an additional location. And this will keep the additional location under the umbrella of that first location so that we're able to see that these are affiliated and everything is connected. So maybe the name is the same. Maybe it's Surf Restaurant, or maybe it's Surf Restaurant number 2, or Surf Restaurant Mission Street. And there's a different address, different phone number, items like that. So I would just come in and add the same stuff that you've seen from the customer ad form associated with that issue or that customer profile. And I'll have an additional location here. So if you ever have multi-location businesses, there is a way to specifically build that out so that they're all under the umbrella of one main business, and then we have additional ones across town for people that have franchises and things like that. Now, the last thing that I want to point out to you here within Relay, this is going to be very useful to you, is this right-hand side messaging panel. So over here on the right-hand side, right now, we can see the little ticket. I'm looking at the issues inbox. So this is where our team is able to see a list of issues that have been submitted to us. You're not going to be using it in that way, so you're really going to be here in the chat. We can see it has these little chat bubbles. And then once I'm here, I have customers, teams, text, bots. Teams is where you're going to go to communicate with us. So you can go right here and actually communicate with the bot. So I can go into the Toast Relay Help bot, and maybe I can ask the Relay Help bot, hey, how do I add a support issue, or how do I add a customer into Relay, or how do I add a location? Any kind of question that might come up for you about how to use Relay, you can come here into this Toast Relay Help bot room and get hundreds of frequently asked questions answered immediately. So that will be very useful, but that's not a place for you to communicate with live people. You have your Toast chat room for when you want to talk with somebody real, and you also have your project team and your post live services. So in the project team, this is going to be specific to just the project team, post live services specific to just the post live team, but you can come into these chat rooms and communicate with anyone from your team and anyone from our team. And it's just like other social media you've used in the past. You're going to @mention individuals if you want to talk to an individual. But most of the time, you probably don't need to talk to an individual. If you have a general question, you can just throw it into the chat room, and then whoever's available fastest will be able to answer you. So, hey, can anyone help me with X? I can throw something like that into the chat room, and someone will be able to get back to me. But if I reach out to an individual, so if I @mention, @Alex, hey, can you help me with X? Then other people might see that and leave it alone because they're assuming you're communicating with Alex. This is unique to Alex. Only Alex can help you, and you're going to have to wait for Alex to be available to help you with that. So just being aware, if it's something that anybody can help you with, you don't need to @mention anybody. But if it's something that an individual person is already working with you on, then @mention that person. Like we @mention Alex.
Speaking of, in terms of the chat service, are we going to be having it used to be able to integrate with our Slack channel, but it hasn't worked in a long time. Is anything going on with that?
Yeah, to speak to that, we actually set up a separate Slack channel altogether by request of another Toast member that was there previously. So we actually have a shared channel. It does integrate with Slack, and it creates a new workspace. And we're happy to do that again.
Yeah, we used to do Boomtown Services or Boomtown Relay, and that worked, but it really has. I haven't seen it really active in a long time. Yeah,
that was we kind of went away from that. We're happy to. The integration still works. We can get that going as soon as possible, and it all integrates here. And so you can stay in Slack because we're not trying to replace Slack by any means. Yeah. So we can set that up and making sure that that's a good way to communicate for sure.
Gotcha. And then Maura also suggested that we should have a specific Toast support channel as well. In terms of your section there, not in Slack, but on your chat system.
Yep. So it's just another
it might be different between project coordinators and support people.
Yep. Yeah. No. Totally. We can configure that as well. It's just adding another space.
Yeah. Just team association difference. So cool.
Exactly that. Yep.
Great. So we can get that Slack set up for you guys, which I think will be useful a lot of the time. But if you ever need to hop into, for example, the bot room, I don't know that that'll be Slack integrated, but we will have that right here, and it's handily right here as you're in Relay trying to do something that maybe you forgot to do. So that can definitely come in handy. And then until the Slack room is up and running, you can always communicate it with us right here. If you're ever @mentioned in one of these chat rooms, you'll get a notification right here in Relay. So even if you missed the Slack, and you log into Relay, you'll see a little notification saying, hey, you were mentioned in this room. It's just like on other social media, you'll just go to that. You'll be able to click into it, and it'll take you directly to where you were mentioned. Another thing that's handy is you will get a notification via email that you've been mentioned here within Relay, whether it's on an issue or whether it's in the chat room. So if you were to come in and ask a question and then, 2 minutes later, you have got to rush into a meeting or you've got to answer a call and you're not able to really even monitor that and see if you're getting an answer, you'll get a notification via email with the entire body of the message that you were mentioned in, so that you'll, A, get that answer, have it somewhere where you can easily access it, and B, you don't even need to log back into Relay to respond. You can actually reply to that email alert, and then your response will populate right here in the chat room exactly as if you had been in the chat room as well. So it makes it very easy to stay a part of the conversation and ensure that you're not missing anything.
Good, yeah. FYI, your battery's almost dead.
I just saw the little notification come up. I know we're getting toward the very end here, but that's everything you guys are going to be using. So you're going to be an issues ad. You're going to be following along in the list and the Kanban. Customer profiles, you'll be able to see all of your customers here, and then you'll be able to communicate with us from here within the chat room.
Cool. All right.
And I'll be sure to follow up with the support documentation for Relay, just like the knowledge-based stuff. You'll be able to it's just, on our website, and you'll be able to kind of go through the FAQs. I'll also send, my contact information and successes. So any follow-up questions or something doesn't look right, please be sure to follow up. I'm going to work with Moore and Co. for when we can start submitting through Relay. You all will have your own login, which will be just your Toast email, and then just a preset password that you'll be able to change, and then all the next steps there. So I'll be sure to look out for that stuff, and I'm always around, and Melissa and Success Team is always around. So we're here to help. I know this is a bit of a change, and we had a hiccup on the team associations for submitting the work order already. So we'll correct that for the next training session if you want to attend and see how it kind of looks, from start to finish. But otherwise, it's a simple.
Great, yeah, definitely. And if you need to just contact Chris Blade if you need any advice on the support thing. I've basically had Relay for like 2 years now, I think. I'm like I've been the longest, but if you need any suggestions on how to adjust it, that because it's obviously different from go lives and installs and all that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I'll shoot you a note, Chris. That'd be great.
Great. All right. Cool.
Wonderful. Well, are there any other questions about Relay at all? Or are we feeling pretty good about submitting work orders in this new way?
I think we're good. I mean, everyone else, I think, is just quietly listening.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll also send over some documentation. I think it's really good to have like a step-by-step guide open when you're doing stuff like this for the first few times, as opposed to coming in and trying to watch a 45-minute video about it. So we'll make sure that you have stuff like that on deck so that you can be walked through those first few times. And then once you do it a couple times, you're really going to have the hang of it. I think it just takes maybe once or twice to do it yourself, and then you'll feel very confident.
Yes, I think that would be very helpful.
Wonderful. We'll get that over to you guys, and then as you get running in here, don't hesitate to let us know if you have any questions or run into any issues at all, okay?
Great. Thank you.
Thank y'all very much. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.